I've been accused of cheating in Marvel Rivals a lot lately. Maybe it's because my aim is so clean, or maybe it's because my game sense is on point, or maybe it's just because I'm standing on the invisible roof above the map. And I know what you're thinking. Evil Duck, you're a Spider-Man 1 trick, and you promised us content which is more directly applicable to how I play. Why are you posting footage of Hela? You're right, and that Spider-Man video is coming, but it's taking a long time to edit. The second thing you're probably thinking is, how did I get up here? Well, it all began on the 26th of February, when Mr. Snake showed KingsAce and myself how wall crawlers and flyers can get out of bounds by going through a secret hole in Eldritch Monument. One possibility that we found interesting was having Rocket crawl out of bounds to get above the map, where he then places his BRB to bring a dead teammate up with him. This way he could bring anyone on top of the point. But since Rocket can't slow down while wall running, he can be pretty difficult to get through these tight spaces without hitting a death barrier, which makes this strategy fairly inconsistent. Fortunately for us, we realised that we could instead use Doctor Strange's portal to bring any and all teammates above the map at once. This was promising, but it was only possible because of an oversight that the developers made by leaving a hole in the map. So when KingsAce started talking about finding more out-of-bounds tech on more maps, well, I had my doubts. We could end up scouring every corner of a map just to find that the developers didn't leave any holes. Or maybe they did leave holes and we just hadn't found them. So when do you stop looking? I wasn't really interested in spending hours scouring each map for holes, but we booted up a custom lobby on Clintar anyway. The others said that they had a method worked out already, so I figured I'd check it out. The idea was to use a retractable wall to pinch yourself through the main wall and out of bounds, but what we found instead was far more exciting. Mr. Snake was toying around with Loki clones and accidentally placed one on the other side of the wall, out of bounds. Then I tried the same in another corner of the map, and it worked there too. Then we took it to more maps, and it just kept working. The criteria was simple. As long as the wall wasn't unusually thick, and there was a floor on the other side, you could place a Loki clone through the wall and use his teleport to swap places with that clone to leave the map. Then it was just a matter of using clones and teleports to navigate the out-of-bounds area until you got somewhere useful. So KingsAce and I got to work looking for routes. With this Loki tech, we had good reason to believe that you could get out of bounds on any map without the need to find new tricks for each and every one. All that we had to do was to find the best route which used minimal teleports. Since his teleport is on a long cooldown, that would be the limiting factor, since the longer that you're away from the team navigating out of bounds, the less viable the route is. So what exactly were we looking for in a route? Where is it useful to have Loki out of bounds? On a lot of maps, he could get above the objective area and fire down on the opponents. But there's an even more interesting approach. If he uses his ult to copy Rocket, he could place a BRB to bring someone else up with him. And if that someone else is Rocket, then the team could bring up as many players as they like. My favourites to get up there are Hela, Black Widow, and Squirrel Girl. And then Punisher isn't too bad either, and his turret can fall through the invisible roof to make for a quick way to get back in bounds if he needs to. Even on the maps where Loki couldn't get above the objective, as long as he could get out of bounds and see back in bounds to copy Rocket, he could then bring out a flying hero like Iron Man, who could navigate more freely. And if Loki couldn't see inside the map, we found that Loki could move stack his teleport with an ult, which means that he could copy Rocket while teleporting through a wall. The timing on this is super brutal though, so we did our best to avoid putting it in any of the routes. KingsAce and I spent hours on end routing every map in the game. Some of them came easily, others not so much. It's also useful to know that a handful of maps allow you to change your hero while out of bounds if you stand close to your spawn room. On Yggdrasil Path, the team could teleport above the spawn room one by one, then change to different heroes. One person would pick Strange, then portal the rest of the team up. From there, he could either jump off the map or swap to Iron Man and fly up with the others. Doctor Strange could go through the portal with them, but his primary is too short range to hit anyone from on top of the map, so he would just be useless up there. We did our best to find a route for every single map, no matter how complicated it had to be, but there were two maps which I decided were impossible: Odin's Archive and Frozen Airfield. On both of these maps, you could get out of bounds pretty easily as Loki, but there are no gaps from the out of bounds areas to look back in bounds. So even if you used Loki's ult to move stack to bring more players out, there's just no way to attack the opponents or to contest the point. After all of our routing was done, it was time to put our work into practice. But we weren't sure how kindly NetEase was going to take to our new tech, and we expected to get reported very often. So we decided it was safest to do this on alt accounts. We started booting into games, and our first few attempts were slow and sloppy, but then we started to get it right, and it was glorious. By this point, it had become our goal to get an out-of-bounds clip on every single map, so we kept queuing and we kept checking the maps off one by one. What happened next was nothing short of devastating. It wasn't a ban, Surprisingly enough, even though lots of people were reporting us for hacking, and a few people were more accurately reporting us for exploiting, no bans arrived. What arrived instead was worse. Patch 2025-03-07. It was pushed with no server downtime. Unannounced as far as I know. We got a notification during our first session after finding a bunch of new tech, saying that we would no longer be able to enter matchmaking until the new patch was installed. No worries, we thought. Except when we downloaded the patch, we were met with a very unpleasant surprise.
Fix several terrain issues that could cause characters to become stuck or clip into strange areas. That's the... We gotta double check everything now.
Yeah, we gotta.
Now the whole YouTube vid might be gone. I worked several days for this.
I'm struggling.
No.
Loki could no longer place a clone without line of sight. At least, that's my guess as to how they fixed it. The point is, it was fixed, and almost all of the routes we had found were gone. We logged off in low spirits after that, but there was one glimmer of hope. One tech that I haven't mentioned until now. The portal bump. When Doctor Strange moves his portal, only the very center of it seems to have collision with the map, probably to make it moving around tight spaces feel smooth. Not to worry, the developers accounted for this by making it so that if you stick one end into a wall, it'll get pushed back out when you place it. But what happens when you place it so that it intersects two walls, also known as a corner? KingsAce found that one wall pushes the portal into the other wall. To do it, just hold the portal flush against the wall, roof or floor that you want to clip through, push it as far as it will go into a perpendicular wall, and then angle it slightly before placing it. This works best with subtle asymmetric angles. If you do it at 45 degrees to the corner, each wall is just going to push just as hard against each other, and you don't get a good result. If you pick up your first portal, then you can check that it looks right before you confirm the placement, and try again if it's no good. The resulting portal can be a little tricky to get into, but with a well-placed portal and some good movement, it's not too bad. Movement abilities go a long way to helping too. Very conveniently, Rocket is the perfect hero for sending through the portals. His small hitbox and his dash ability let him get through easily. His wall crawl, slow fall, and the double jump from his BRB let him navigate out of bounds very efficiently. And most importantly, his BRB can bring his teammates to the party once he arrives. On the rare occasion that Rocket doesn't have what it takes, we introduce the holy grail of stupid tech, the double portal. Doctor Strange's portal is on a team-wide cooldown, so you can't get two of them by using Loki or by swapping heroes. But interestingly, the cooldown for the portals doesn't start when you place the portal, it starts when you open the portal UI. This means that you can open the portal UI, wait 3 minutes for the portal to refresh, confirm the placement of your portal, then instantly place another portal. The bad news is that placing the second portal instantly removes the first one. So what's the point? Well, the point is that you can use your first portal as a portal bump, then move your second portal through the first one to create a portal from inside the map to anywhere outside of the map. Using this method, you can get any hero to places that Rocket couldn't bring them. The cost, of course, is that your team has to play a 5v6 for 3 minutes, or a measly 2 minutes and 20 seconds if you're playing defense and leverage the pre-game time. So I mean, it's not great, but it's nice to have in the back pocket. With that, we had everything we needed. After a whole lot more labbing, it was time to go back in game and get our clips. Now that we were level 10, we decided to try our hand at doing it in competitive games. But about an hour into our very first session with the new routes, we saw something that instilled dread. Another unannounced patch with no patch notes. We played the few games we could before the patch was forced upon us, and we braced for the worst.
Strange's portal can go
good.
like that. Well, do it.
Ready?
A shortcut through space.
And we're
We're
good.
in business. We're in business.
We were in the clear, so we got to work. And one by one, we got our clips.
Oh, I'm sliding.
Yep.
Oh, I heard Mercy that replay. Holy, I'm nasty. Yeah, just go now, I'll jump into them and die.
You lied to me.
Oh, I wasn't... What? Dude, I'm right next to you, heal me.
What? No, you're not. Oh, not to me. Oh, God.
What happens if I ult? Do I just die?
Nah, you live.
Oh no, I'm falling.
I got one.
Yes.
I got another.
Yes.
It's not cheats.
So funny.
You could go by home base. The only problem is,
Oh, I'm
even if
filthy.
you... Who's kettle? I don't know why I messed up so badly there.
Holy shit!
Did someone else get up?
It worked. Yeah, hello. That's not you?
Nah.
Well, Hella's using it like a pro, so... Bro, I just saw the screen of yours. Dude, you should have went Hella, dude. Oh, you got one. I am dude. But now he's going through the smoke. Don't hit straight middle, you'll hit a pillar. Oh, you can... Oh!
How about that?
Now we can smash.
Iron Man is cheating.
Whatever you... If you see a cluster, do it. You got
It's
one
funny
guy.
every time. I got 2 guys. They have to ult to get out of their spawn. Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff.
At the time of uploading, the portal bump still works. I'll pin a comment if it gets patched, but for any of you who want to try this yourselves, here are the routes we used. Eldritch Monument actually did end up getting patched very recently. You can still get outside the map, but they added a wall all around the playable area, which extends up to the rock ceiling, so only flyers can contest the point from outside the map now. On Super Soldier Factory, there's a similar one portal trick, but it's a lot less consistent. You can finesse your portal through these pipes with a rotation of the camera, and then do the same thing through some more geometry, being very careful not to hit the death barrier below. Once you're below the map, you come out the side, and you're all set. Because of the symmetry of the map, this only works well from one side, where you've got the pipe on your left as you walk out of spawn. But if you spawn on the other team, don't worry, just send your portal over to the other team's pipes. The easier method on this map is to portal bump through this wall in the room in front of spawn. Then Rocket can climb up and over the roof and drop down onto the objective. As I said before, we've got nothing for Frozen Airfield, and believe me, it is not for a lack of trying. We categorized Imperial Institute of Science as flyers only, since there are no out-of-bound areas where non-flyers can stand and look into the map. But Strange can portal bump through this roof, then Iron Man can fly out and around, break down this wall, and have easy access to the objective. On Stellar Spaceport, Strange portal bumps through the flat half of this roof outside of spawn, and then Rocket can climb all the way over this massive structure to get above the point and start bringing his teammates up. Warrior Falls is one of our favourites. The environment on this map isn't symmetrical, so we portal bump through the floor outside of the left spawn walkout, even if we're on the other team. This one's pretty tough to get through, and you've got to be careful to land on the rock and not to fall into the death barrier. Then Rocket navigates underground until he comes to this little outpost, where he can bring a sniper out to join him. On Bifrost Garden, we portal bump through this wall to get behind spawn. From here, Rocket can use the double jump from his BRB to get around and over the invisible roof. One problem on this map is that the invisible roof is actually too high up to bring up teammates who die to a death barrier. Instead, they have to be killed by the other team while on high ground. There's also not a lot of cover once you're up here, so this is one of the less viable maps. Throne Room is sort of flyers only. Strange can portal bump through this wall high up by the throne, then you can navigate out through some very strange invisible walls. So you could get Rocket and Co out to camp the defender spawn, but only flyers can contest the objective. The last Domination map is Odin's Archive, which has no useful out-of-bound areas. The Domination maps are okay, but because of how short the rounds are compared to Convoy and Conversion, you get less bang for your buck. In general, the following maps are a lot better. On Yggdrasil Path, you can portal bump through this wall above the first defender spawn to get out and change heroes. Attackers prefer to go through this nearby wall, since stepping on the other team's spawn can and will kill you. Just be careful of this floor. Half of it has no collision and you'll fall straight through. Either way, you can fly around and over the invisible roof, or you can take rocket up this nearby mountain, being careful not to go too high, since a lot of maps, this one included, have a death barrier above the invisible roof. Spider Islands is another favourite. Defender side has a portal bump through this painting in the final room, and Rocket climbs straight up to walk around this tower and get out. If the attackers have captured the first point, you can change heroes on top of this spawn room. But for attackers, we go to this flank route with a jump pad and bump through the roof. Then we take Spider-Man through the portal, and with his fast movement, we can quickly get back above the attacker spawn, where he can change heroes to Rocket and navigate back out the front by walking around some janky walls, which are above the spawn roof. On Midtown, we bump through this wall outside of attacker spawn, then Rocket can climb the Baxter building to get above the starting area, or even on top of the subway. The subway roof is way too far away to bring players up with the respawn beacon, but you usually wouldn't want to bring anyone up there anyway. That brings us to conversion maps. On Clintar, you can portal bump through this roof near the second point. Defenders can stop by their spawn room to change heroes, and then you can jump through this wall with no collision to get out into the open. Then it's just a matter of climbing above the point. This death pit is pretty much right on the edge of the respawn radius, so it's easier to just die to the enemy team with a respawn beacon above you. Heroes with vertical mobility, like Squirrel Girl, can get there alone. It's also worth noting that the roof is slippery on this map, unlike all the others. Shin Shibuya is... well, it's a disappointing map. The roof has a death barrier on it, which makes it flyers only. We only really tried to leave this map on defense, where we'd bump out of this room right outside of the spawn. The angles aren't great, so this map really isn't ideal. This was our least favourite to see. On Hall of Dajalia, you can bump through this roof outside of the third defender spawn, then climb through the intangible roof above you and up to the top of these mountains. Then, you need to use a double jump from your BRB to get enough height to get above the roof. You just need to stay low enough to not hit the death barrier above. Now the problem with this map is that the roof is so high that we don't know how to get in the range of the respawn beacon. But we do know that it's possible because we accidentally brought one of our teammates up in a quick play game. The problem is we don't know how we did it, and we didn't realise what we'd done at the time, so we didn't save the replay. This leaves us with two options. Either we can send up a flyer like Iron Man, or if we really want someone like Hela up there, we can use a double portal to get her out of bounds. Finally, we have the new map, Central Park. This one was a pain to find. There are extra invisible walls behind almost every wall on the map. The one place we managed to bump out is through an invisible wall by attacker first spawn, by pushing the edge of the portal into the tree. If you're on attack, you can change heroes by tucking into the base of the tree. With a few well-timed jumps, Rocket can fly over the pit where he can climb up to the roof. So that's how to get out of bounds on every single map. Thanks to Mr. Snake for sharing his tech, and a particularly big thanks to my partner in crime, KingsAce. The only person more dedicated to this stupid tech than me is this guy. So feel free to give this a crack in your games. I'll try to keep a pinned comment updated with any patches that I'm aware of. Just be careful with it. I haven't been banned, but that doesn't mean that you won't be. So don't use exploits on an account that you can't part with. And thanks for sticking around this long. And for returning subscribers, I'll be back to the regular Spidey tech soon. So I hope to see you then.